Electrocast.
Why wait to see if you'll get something you like this Valentine's Day when you can go to BlueNile.com and find something you'll love? Whether you're looking to treat yourself to a little winter sparkle or show a galentine how much you appreciate them, Blue Nile offers a wide selection of high-quality designs, expert guidance, and free 30-day returns for the ultimate peace of mind. You can even design your own jewelry. Right now, save up to 50% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
On this episode of Missing the Point, it's part 1 of our Sunday night sports wrap. In the first hour, we revisit our AFC and NFC predictions. Amongst the topics, will Mike apologize for picking the Lions to win the NFC North? What does Joe think about Josh Allen now that the Buffalo Bills are officially AFC East champions for the first time since 1995? Stay tuned to find out. But first, some housekeeping. Missing the Point is a 1-hour weekly podcast recapping the biggest stories in the world of sports with a New England flavor. The show notes and transcript of today's episode can be found in the description box below, as well as on our website, www.mtpshow.com. If you're new to the show and like what you hear, consider subscribing. It's the easiest way to see when we publish new episodes. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Google, and wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to rate us and leave a review of any of our shows. We always appreciate your feedback. Also be sure to follow us on all of our social medias. All of our links will be in the show notes. And check out our brand new website, www.mtpshow.com. That's mtpshow.com. And now, this is Missing the Point. But it's all relative.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hello, and welcome to the Sunday Night Sports Wrap, brought to you by Missing the Point. Come in, gather round, find a chair. That's it, don't be shy, there's room for everyone. I'm your host this week, DK Sizzle, Dave Clarke. Many people have speculated what the K in DK Sizzle stands for, and I often tell them that it's versatile, much like the F in Wheezy F Baby. It has many meanings depending on the situation. For today, because science, I had a banana for breakfast, so it stands for potassium. K for potassium. No wonder people don't trust scientists, guys. Oh, God. Today, I have the entire gang of misfits and ne'er-do-wells that make up Missing the Point and the Sunday Night Sports Wrap crew with me, and we're in for a raucous good time over the next couple of hours. A small bit of housekeeping before I introduce the team. Please look out for our interview with Celtics pre- and post-game host Abby Chin. Releases Tuesday, the 22nd. We talked to her about her career, her experiences with Celtics legends like Scal and Tommy Heinsohn. And she enlightened us as to some of her experiences with much maligned all-star guard Kyrie Irving while he played for the C's. So look out for that. And another special guest we'll announce later coming up. She's also from Celtics land. Now, without any further gilding of the lily and absolutely no more ado, I bring you the lovable cast of characters that will be guiding you through this journey of the eyes and ears. First up, we have Mike Marcangelo. It's often been speculated, but never proven, that Mike is not actually one person, but 3 children standing on top of one another in a trench coat in order to get into a rated R movie. Those children's names, Mike, Mark, and Angelo. So, hi to you 3. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great, DK. Yeah, thank you so much. That's just a great joke. I've never heard anything like that before. Actually, that's the best one I've ever heard. But I love it. Thank you.
Well, I would love to know, since it's been a month since we've been together, I'd love to know your favorite sports moment thing that happened over the past 30 days. Why don't you enlighten us?
It's actually 2 things. So it's a tie.
Oh.
Sorry. So the
Okay.
first
I said one, but that's fine. You guys just do whatever you want.
It's a tie because I know that the first thing you don't consider a sport, but it happened yesterday, and it was Tiger Woods and his son, Charlie.
That warmed my heart. I love that.
Yeah, I don't care about that. That 175-yard broke and he lands 4 feet from the hole. That was awesome to see. And you just don't get to see Tiger Woods kind of humanized like that. So I thought that was cool. And then the 2-game losing streak from the Steelers, man, just absolutely makes me smile, man. So yeah, it's been a great month.
We've started off controversially and aggressively already. I love that. Keep that same energy. So that brings us over to the man known as the real BK, Bob Kelly. He also goes by Bobby, Rob, Robert, and sometimes inexplicably Fergus. The man with more name changes than John Cougar Mellencamp, ladies and gentlemen. The artist formerly known as Mince. Bob Kelly, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm really good. Now that I'm here with you guys. Tell me, same question, your favorite thing that happened in sports over the last 30 days.
So my favorite thing over the past 30 days, it has to be Lamar Jackson shitting his pants and leading a game-winning touchdown drive on Monday Night Football. He says he didn't shit his pants, but I'm telling you, I've never seen someone run in that fashion without pooping their pants.
It was a full clinch. It was a full clinch happening.
There's no doubt about it. That is
they called it cramps.
Walk. Yeah.
They called it cramps, but that was a very waspy way to say
right. Exactly.
He's pooping himself. Yes, I totally agree. I enjoyed that moment also. Thank you for sharing.
Number one.
It's really good to like bring poop in early, as it is a running theme of the Sunday Night Sports Wrap and Missing the Point. Now, over to one of my favorite people, an educator that some speculate is the inspiration for the 1988 film Stand to Deliver after teaching calculus to a bunch of kids that didn't want to learn. But that rumor is untrue, unfortunately. He's actually the inspiration for 1995 film Dangerous Minds because of his striking resemblance to Michelle Pfeiffer. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and deliver for the man himself, Rayshawn the Cannon Buchanan. How are you, old friend? Tell me your favorite sports moment of the last month, please.
I'm good, man. That was awesome. I'm definitely a Dangerous Mind too. But favorite sport, yeah, for sure. Actually, I'm gonna keep it in house. And after the first Cheap Heat episode that we did, actually was my favorite sports moment, man.
Man, I had such fun.
So to speak about Survivor Series, to speak about the Montreal Screwjob, like that to me was just awesome because. Someone who's a big wrestler fan as myself and, Mike and, Craig is, and then obviously, having you on there, brother, man, it was awesome. So, but like I said, this Dangerous Mind is doing good and I'm ready to go.
I appreciate the you guys having me on, and I appreciate the shameless plug for our own show whilst on our show. So I really did appreciate that. That was slick marketing. Sorry to be so cumbersome and calling it out, but inevitably next we have Smokin' Joe Malkin. Oft referred to as Broadway Joe. Many scholars of the Sunday Night Sports Wrap have suggested that his nickname comes from famous New York Jet Broadway Joe Namath, but not true. Mr. Malkin had his nickname long before Namath because of his incredible ability to recite every lyric in order to Les Mis. You don't believe me? He's about to do it. The entire thing. That's the entire show. He's going to do it right now for everybody at home. Never mind. We don't have time. Sorry. Craig's telling me on the side that we don't have enough time.
I was about to say that. I was about to say that is 2 hours, but 2 hours. I'd rather spend
fine. I pushed for the full score of Les Mis, but Joe, unfortunately, you're just going to have to give us your sports takes. Joe, tell me your favorite sports moment of the last 30 days since you've been on. Hi.
Well, Dave, I was going to say that you really put me on the spot there, so I was going to pre-record it and just release it as a podcast episode. But I think we'll hold off on that. So
wait for Joe's Christmas album.
I'm thinking a Christmas album might be the way to go. So I'm going to go the same way as Rayshawn here. There's been a lot of things that have happened in the last month since we last saw all of you. But I'm going to plug our other interview that'll be coming out next week. The interview you guys did with Abby that comes out Tuesday is phenomenal. But we, as Dave teased earlier, we also interviewed another woman from Celtics land, and that's Trenny Kisnerick, to also bring it around and bring in what Bobby said. She talked about poop and Lamar Jackson and herself, her own story. That was just a great interview. She's very down to earth, a lot like Abby in that way. The two of them are friends. Bobby and I had a blast doing that interview, and I really can't wait for everybody to hear it. But I was going to decide if I was going to go down the controversial road, but since we're going to touch on the NBA tonight, I'm going to save that.
All right. Joe's saving it for later. I love it. All right. We're here. We've introduced everybody, but I don't want to forget one of the most important people. the man who invented the flux capacitor of Missing the Point and is about to throw us in his DeLorean and take it to 88. The best producer in the game, Craig D'Alessandro, Mr. D apostrophe Alessandro. How the heck are you? What's your favorite sports memory of the last 30 days, Craig?
It's been a tremendous 30 days for the sport of boxing. Mike Tyson came out of retirement. Glennie Golovkin fought last 2 nights ago. Canelo Alvarez fought last night. The Boxing Hall of Fame was announced earlier this week. It's been a great month for the sport, for the sweet science.
Wow, that was very well prepared and professional. Yeah. This is why we don't let Craig talk, because he's going to show us all up. You see how that goes?
Not wrong.
We try and surprise him. We try and surprise him with stuff. Yes, that's the reason. So we're going to get into the show. If you're a longtime listener, the Sunday Night Sports Wrap and Missing the Point, then you'll know that at the start, way back in August, at the start of the NFL season, we prepared an NFL prediction show where we gave one team the NFC and one team the AFC, and everybody guessed at the records of the respective teams in those conferences and divisions. And we're kind of at the point we were thinking where we can basically say if most of the records are correct or incorrect. We're getting there, right? So we thought we'd start things off today by going through and seeing what records were great, unbelievable predictions by a bunch of people who have a podcast about sports and should know what they're talking about, and what records were insanely wrong, and do you even watch the NFL? So we're going to go back and forth. It's going to be a whale of a time, and I'm going to start off with the NFC team, which I was on, which I'm trying to distance myself from now at this point, but I was on it, and I did contribute to this. When we get to the NBA show later, it's going to be more of a I hosted. I've been kind of ousted from the team, I think, because of some of my predictions, but we'll save you the politics. The NFC team, the NFC East with Bobby's Cowboys. And I figure no better place to start than with the Dallas Cowboys, gentlemen. The Cowboys, you predicted somewhat embarrassingly to be the division winner at 10-6. They might still be the division winner, basically because it's a bit of a world's tallest midget competition over there in the NFC East. And they might be the division winner with what, Bobby? Six wins? Is that going to get you? 6 wins. 6 wins going to get you the division over there? They have a 4-9 record.
5-9 after today.
5-9 record after today. You guys predicted them 10-6. Bobby, what happened to the Cowboys?
A lot of things happened to the Cowboys. Dak Prescott's foot falling off was obviously the first thing that happened. Or maybe not the first thing that happened. That was the biggest thing that happens to this team. I think if this is the same defense, if this Cowboys defense was like this the entire season that we've been seeing the past few weeks, would have been a completely different story. Maybe we would have got this point, but no, we weren't even fucking
Dude,
close.
I mean, they have Stephon Diggs' brother on defense. Like,
listen, we're still going to throw it back to that every time. Come on.
Yeah, because you name dropped him. That's how you name dropped him.
You actually you family relation dropped him. You couldn't even remember his name.
And I would
I also said Dontari Poe and Gerald McCoy, both people who are no longer on the Cowboys. So
yeah.
In our defense, DK came in at 6-10. I said 8-8, and Bobby came in absolutely hot at 13-3. So we compromised at 10-6, and we're still going to lose that point.
Maybe we'll learn our lesson next season with the homer biases, because there's some Patriots and Bears talk coming up that might influence those decisions also. The Eagles, I thought our call at 8-8 wasn't bad. No. I didn't expect them to be this bad. I didn't expect Carson Wentz to be as terrible as he is. I didn't expect that drama to occur. I didn't think that they were like a winning team, but I thought to call them in the middle was okay. A pathetic draw. 4 wins and 8 losses later, where they're sitting at 4-8-1. I don't know. I mean, how could we have predicted that? I think we kind of did. I mean, like, if you go back and listen to it, we all said like this is going to be a manic season, just like Carson Wentz, right? And it was and is. I mean, he is on paper, and I mean, I think we all agreed, like, he's a great quarterback on paper, but then like on the field, he just can't. He refuses to run their plays. He won't run. He just won't do it.
And I think what really threw off that record too is we predicted Carson Wentz would be average. We predicted he would have some ups, he would have some downs, but this season there literally was no ups from Carson Wentz. And that's why it's 4-8-1 instead of 6-8 or whatever the record.
Difficult to know he was going to get benched after, 11 or 12 games and all of a sudden be on the trading block. Like, this is a guy with one of the most, it turns out damaging, but one of the most lucrative contracts at the QB position in the NFL, and you wouldn't have expected, I think, the Eagles to give up on him that quickly, especially with the cap hit they're about to take. But hey, we're there. We did good on the Giants. We said they were going to win 5 games. So far, they've won 5 games. I don't see them winning much more than that. So I think we're there. That's a potential point for us for sure. I was way lower apparently on the Washington football team.
Yeah, we were.
We all were.
They're mad at me for this. I can tell.
I said, and I quote, if they start Alex Smith, they will go, 5. They will win like 5 out of their next 10 games.
And Alex Smith hasn't been the reason. I mean, he's been playing on one leg the entire year.
It's the defense.
He's been playing on one leg all year.
But I know that like Joe can talk right now because you're not going to silence him. He's nodding his head because he knows that happened. He was
not silencing anyone.
I said 5-11. If that were the case, we'd have a point.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was really doing my best not to butt in there because there's so much to say about this division.
Butt on in.
But honestly, Mike, I do remember when you said that about Washington, but I was also on board with that 3-13 because I just thought they were going to be a dumpster fire with everything that went on in the offseason.
That was what was feeding my thoughts was the fact that they didn't even have a name coming in.
Sure,
and then their organization was messed up.
Ron Rivera, a good coach. I like Ron Rivera. I liked him as a coach when he was in Carolina, like him in Washington. But
Bears defensive coordinator. I liked him then.
Sure. So he has the cancer diagnosis, which everything looks like it's going well for him on that front. And that was also another turning point for that team. It wasn't only Alex Smith coming back, but it was him finishing his last chemotherapy session, and that defense turned it on. I mean, the Washington football team is fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants at 5-11, I actually thought that for a little while. They're 5-8 now. I still think that they can win that division at 8-8. They've kind of been surprising, but
that would hurt us. That would hurt us a lot, actually.
But that Washington pick, Mike, I mean, you were much higher on them than 3-13.
I mean, I just feel like, at the very least, like, let's say that they finish again. Let's say if they finish like 7-9, right? We're not going to get a point, but we would have. Secondly, it's a great comeback story for Alex Smith. I mean, I just think that is a great story. To come back the way that he did from that horrendous ankle injury, and like he almost died, 17 surgeries. That's the feel good moment of what is probably the worst division in football.
Yeah.
And Dwayne Haskins is not the answer there.
We can't leave this division without speaking about Chase Young, by the way. That man is an absolute animal. He is the reason that and their secondary is the reason the Washington football team is going to win this division.
They showed him pregame, and I was like that man. That he is a mountain of a man. Like he's intimidating. Like you just look at him and you're like, this is a hell of a football player. But man, he has not faltered from his entry into the NFL through the season. I mean, he has just been phenomenal. That's going to be a dangerous defense.
He's everything that everyone thought Jadeveon Clowney was going to be, and that's what Chase Young is.
And I feel like something Joe said earlier, which is important to point out, is for a while it looked like the Giants were going to be the kind of sad division winners of that division. And now it turns out that the team going hot into the playoffs is probably going to be the Washington football team. And it sounds like we kind of universally say that they deserve it, right? They've been playing well the last few weeks. Yeah. They've got a wide receiver who I have on my fantasy team, McLaurin. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
He,
top 5 in the league.
Yeah, he's great, and he makes plays like Sports Center plays, So if you're seeing your team on the ESPN top 10, somebody on there is doing something right. So yeah, it might actually be the saddest team making that playoff berth, but let's move on. The AFC East. Let's go over to the AFC team now. Rayshawn, Buchanan, and Joe Malkin. Pretty good. You guys did pretty good. I mean, the Jets you called 4-12.
I was there too, by the way.
I guess
you were there. But I cut myself out of the NFC team. It's okay, like we're going to be the casualties of war here as we adjust our gameplay format. But the Jets are 4-12, or you guys called 4-12. They haven't won a game yet, but they're looking like they're about to today, miraculously, in order to maybe specifically help your prediction.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Please.
If the Jets win this game against the Rams and they end up, I'm just saying, and they tie with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
This is what I said earlier in the show, Craig.
What'd you say?
That the Patriots are going to tank at the last game of the year so that they don't get the pick.
That would be lovely because the Jacksonville Jaguars would hold the tiebreaker over the Jets, and maybe Trevor Lawrence goes to Jacksonville.
It doesn't really matter because if I'm Trevor Lawrence, I don't want to play for the Jets or in Jacksonville.
What stinks
tank for Trevor? All I can see as you describe that is that meme from like Homeland with Claire Danes and the math behind her. It's like, that's a very specific situation that if it happens, we can talk about, but that's like a little bit too much math for my brain right now. Their actual record, they haven't won a game. So what did you expect from the Jets? Did they pretty much meet expectations of being terrible? Are they even worth talking about right now?
They're worth talking about because they are leading the Rams. And I think as the season has gone on, we've looked at that 4-12 and I've gone, man, that was dumb. We should have at least said like 3-13. I mean, even if they go 0-16, great, good for them. But the only reason they're worth talking about is because Adam Gase still has a job. And we've talked about this on our Slack. We've talked about this on our own.
Joe's been trying to get Adam Gase fired since week 3.
I've been trying to get
writing
Adam
strongly
Gase
worded
fired.
letters.
I've been trying to get Adam Gase fired from the New York Jets before he was even
he emails them every day. Like,
it was an absolutely terrible hire. I mean, there's so many better choices for that job before he was hired. And here's my hot take. I'm just going to throw it out there in show. If Anthony Lynn gets fired in San Diego, LA, and Adam Gase gets let go in New York, Anthony Lynn would be great for that position in New York. I think that would be.
I thought you were going to say that they were going to go and form a crime fighting duo and retire from the NFL. That would have been cool.
they could, but we know that Adam Gase will get fired from that because Anthony Lynn will get freaked out by his googly eyes.
It wouldn't be very
listening?
good.
Is Netflix listening?
Yeah, right.
Netflix.
Everybody gets a Netflix show now. Give us one. Ray, why are you so hype on the Jets? What happened?
Definitely wasn't, but
I mean, you gave him 4 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems hype to me.
No, I mean, I think that, I feel like that was close to their record last year too. Now, granted, I know they had a little more talent because, you had Robbie Anderson and some other guys. I think I was more hyped because they were one of the few teams that beat Dallas last year. That was one of their wins.
Apparently not that hard to do, it turns out, but
yeah, pretty much. But I mean, they've been in some games though. So they could have easily gotten to the 4 wins. Like I said, they lost to us in the last minute. They lost to the Raiders in the last minute. So that's 2 wins right there. And today could have been their third had they we'll see if they hold on. But I mean, I don't have to reiterate what Joe said. Like, Gase has been awful. Yes, he had one playoff appearance in Miami, but for the most part, he's been subpar his whole coaching career. So there's not really a need for him to be in a head coaching position. Maybe at some point he could be a coordinator again. But yeah, I agree with you, Joe. Like I said, I think I've become the Anthony Lynn supporter on here. Bobby's kind of killed him in our Slack chat.
Oh, I have too.
I mean, no, I was saying, but I feel like Bobby's killed him more, and I had to come to the defense.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, we're on the same team, so I gotta look out for you. But I just feel like and granted, some of his decisions haven't been great, but I do feel like he'd be good up there in New York for sure. But yeah, I mean that's enough on the Jets. I mean they're not very good.
Yeah, we've given them more airtime than they deserve. You're absolutely right. The very interesting thing in that division though is that you guys did how long has it been since the Patriots lost the AFC East? Somebody tell me.
2008.
Yeah,
2008. So it's been 12 years. And even
it was a tiebreaker with the Dolphins.
And you guys actually did predict. You got the Patriots record pretty wrong. You're not going to get a point there. But you did predict that the Bills were going to be the division winner, which is, if you think about it in context, a bold prediction.
Ray and Craig.
Hang on. First of all, Craig and I are playing each other in our fantasy football semifinals, and he's been trying to get me to bend the knee for the last 48 hours, and I won't do it until the game's over. I won't do it. But what I will kneel to reference. Is the fact that Craig and Ray called this at the beginning of the year and had to talk me into it. They had to talk me into go back and listen to that. I think that's episode 5 or 6.
5, yeah, 5.
Of the AFC predictions when they basically talked me into Buffalo winning the division, and they were absolutely right. They called it. And the record is going to be close, but they were right, and I went with it because the Patriots weren't looking promising going into the year.
It's funny that you guys talked Joe into the Bills winning the division and then proceeded to all talk yourselves into the Patriots winning the division for the entire season. On every show we were on, it was every week it was the Patriots. Yeah, no, I get it. I totally understand.
Right. And we're not fans of the downtrodden Bears and Cowboys. So
you were so well uptrodden. We've got some uptrods up. We're not on the division yet. So, I get it. I totally understand the Patriots. It's been a frustrating year. Cam Newton can't move the football. It's upsetting. You're not going to get a point on that record. It was the wrong call, but it's your home team, and we are a New England centric podcast, so I understand being big on them, while simultaneously trying to be pragmatic and win the prediction game, which it's looking good for you guys. So the Dolphins are average. I know Bobby's been talking a lot about them in his much maligned power rankings all season.
Wait a minute. I'm not even on their fucking team, and they're not. The Dolphins are 9-5, dude. They're not average.
Yeah, they're not 9-5. Yeah,
the Bears are average. They're 7-7, right? I mean,
the Bears are average. Yeah, they're an average team.
Do
you think the Dolphins have a playoff shot?
Yeah, I mean, I would put them
to win a game.
Hey, who are we asking? The AFC team and the NFC team?
The world. Anyone? Does anyone?
Right, Mike,
go far in the playoffs?
I'll answer for the world. No, I do think they do have a shot. I really do. We've talked about. I know Joe's a fan of Brian Flores. And, I was like, that's just the next guy or maybe the guy that's become the best guy out of Belichick's coaching tree, at least at the pro level anyways. Because I know Saban came out of there too, but he's in college. So he was terrible in Miami. But I just think that, they're disciplined for the most part. Tua, he's improving by the week, in my opinion. And I just feel like if they run the ball close to what they ran to today, especially when their running game hasn't been that strong, but if Breda and Sanders can do their thing, and you get, you get Devontae Park, you get Gaskin back, and
Gaskin's had some injury trouble, and he's their best guy in their backfield, so that's going to be tough for them going in.
But if you get Gesicki and then you get Devontae Parker back, and as I said, Gesicki is much better than I thought. Hell, Collins had a good game today against us too. So
I hate to call out everyone's bias here. And, I know I do it too, because I was agreeing with Mike that the Green Bay Packers weren't going to have a good year. And then Aaron Rodgers just came out and threw all over us. But every time somebody beats the Patriots, you guys are like, they're not half bad. And the Rams are getting beat by the Jets.
I mean, we beat them week 1 though. I mean, we beat them by 10 week 1. Yeah. It was like, okay.
But week 1 is a lifetime ago, Ray. You guys were a different team back then.
The Jaguars beat the Colts week 1.
But what I'm saying, we saw a lot of stuff go on between week 1 to now to say they're a decent team. So that makes sense.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, decent. Yeah, decent to average.
But not only that, they just lost. They lost 4 of their top weapons on offense today and still beat the Patriots, who, I mean, granted, the Patriots defense has been okay. Gilmore went down in the first half, so that kind of sucked, and wasn't any help. I don't think the Dolphins are there yet. Like, I think they can get into the playoffs this year. I just don't think they're there to make that run. But if you can keep this squad together and you can keep the core together, they'll get there, because I am very high on Brian Flores. I'm not super, super high on Tua, but he is getting better by the week. Myles Gaskin has been phenomenal for them. Devontae Parker.
When healthy.
When healthy. I mean, he's on the COVID list this time around. So Devontae Parker is kind of seeing a resurgence. I think it's great that Tua has Ryan Fitzpatrick as his backup quarterback. So much has changed since that week 1, because they've been able to get there. And one of the biggest things that Brian Flores said to his team today, and they reported it on CBS during the game, was that they had so many guys out because of injury or COVID or whatever else, but they already have the Patriots number in South Beach anyway. So, but what he came out and said to his backups were, you wouldn't be on this team if I didn't think you could play. And that's just I mean, even if it's NFL football players and they're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, that's such a great, way to approach the situation, and especially with a rookie quarterback, 3 rookie linemen. I mean, that team is just going in the right direction. They're just not there yet.
I guess I just have one question, Joe, because you've always been high on Brian Flores, right? I mean, from the minute we started this, why did you? Were you the only one? Because you had them at 6-10. Like, that was your prediction.
I think Ray had them at 8-8, and I think Craig had them around 7-9. I think, guys, where we were was the fact that it wasn't there yet, because it was Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback or a rookie quarterback. And generally a rookie quarterback, that's 0-2 against Belichick, right? Generally, on a good day, because before today, his last loss to a rookie quarterback was in 2013 against Geno Smith. So, I mean, the odds were in the Patriots' favor, so that was 2 losses right there for the Dolphins. The Bills were coming in good, so that's at least 3, maybe 4 losses there. So I think it was just a matter of seeing that team progress, and they really have. I mean, 9-5 now. I don't know. It was definitely wrong, but it wasn't the worst pick out of all 32 teams. So we're doing all right.
I don't want to throw you off, Dave. I just want to say one thing. I was watching that game, and once the Patriots lost, I actually jumped up on the from the couch and said, "The AFC just lost a point." That's how in my head you guys are in this game has been.
Run free, baby, run free.
That's good. No,
who was standing on top of the 3 children dressed as you, and do they now have a head injury?
It was Angelo.
It was Angelo.
Angelo always gets the brunt of it. I will say though that Ray, you are not living rent free. If you've ever met Mike, he lets you live in his head, but he's definitely charging you a vig for that. I mean, come on, let's be honest.
He didn't charge me for years.
Not surprising at all that we died a little bit in the AFC East, but good that we talked that through and we all agreed that the Dolphins are average. If we could just move on now to back to the NFC team, over to the NFC West. I think we did okay with the Seahawks. They're underperforming a little bit, I think, to everybody's expectations as far as winning games goes. And I'm going to go to Bobby for this one first because he seems like he's excited and has something to say.
Yeah, no, because
go ahead.
So I know I at the very beginning of the season, the number one thing about the Seahawks team is it's Russell Wilson will take this team. They honestly, and I know that there was a point during the middle of the season where we didn't think this was the case anymore. But that team is DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Russell Wilson. They don't have anything else. They don't have an offensive line.
That's a lot to have, though, you know.
But that's literally all they have. Chris Carson is hurt. Carlos Hyde is a shell of what he used to be. I just think that the Seahawks aren't as good as what they show. And I really think that it really all relies on Russell Wilson. However, we are going to get the point.
We said. Yeah,
right, we are going to get the point.
We had them at 12-4. They're 10-4 right now. We got the point. I mean, we called that right.
Yeah,
but they did. But I'm saying they did underperform to our expectations as far as winning games goes.
Yeah,
we were saying they were going to be a 12-win team.
And
I don't know
if.
Well, I don't know who they have left to play, but I think that on the eye test, as Bobby likes to famously say, I think that they haven't looked as good as a unit as we thought they were going to look.
I think that
as of last year, at this time regular season last year, they were looking that they might potentially be Super Bowl winners. You know, with the points that they were putting up, with the way Russell Wilson was playing, I think that hype has diminished a little bit, and I think that that's a fair assessment of, because they're not really in your head now. The NFC in general is not really in your head as far as somebody winning the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Especially with, you know, with how the Chiefs look, with the Steelers going on that run, maybe the Saints, but I only left the Saints Chiefs game as it was going, and it looks like the Chiefs were just going to have their way. So I'm not sure how it's going right now, but that the Seahawks are not really in your head as a potential Super Bowl winner. Am I correct about that? And I think they might have been at the start of the season.
I think the one thing that's changed though is like before, like their defense, you used to have some regard for them, right? Their defense is a lot worse than we thought it was going to be, but I think that their offense is exponentially better than we thought it was going to be, right? So now it's not a matter of the Seahawks can stop you. Now it's they can actually keep up with you, and you need to stop them. Can you? So I think the whole dynamic changed a little bit.
That's fair, I think.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
The 49ers, I tried to tell, I know it's crazy. You're getting agreed with all over the place. I tried to tell you guys the 49ers weren't going to be good. I did try and tell you. I came in pretty down on them. We gave them a 10-6 wild card berth.
Well, Bobby, I mean, this was his team.
That was me. Yeah, no, that was all me. Yeah.
12-4.
I just really believe in Kyle Shanahan, and I still think that this team would have had a much different season had they stayed healthy. This is the most.
Hang on. Hang on. Wait. Had who stayed healthy? Had
Jimmy G stayed healthy? Right.
Wow.
And he didn't.
That'll do it. What do you know? Because we were saying that the whole time.
But he didn't, did he? No. And now they suck. They're 5-9.
Yeah, but Bobby, we had a whole
so that means when he's on the field,
right? Right. But he's not on the field, is my point. He is not on the field.
That's all me and Joe
said. Their record? Right. But what is their record? So this is the exact conversation I'm talking about. Is it's the 49ers, yes, they're great when Jimmy's on the field. But guess what? He's fucking not. He never is. And they're 5-9.
Yeah. Yes, but I think what their point was, if I could try and sift through the yelling at you, is that they said that Jimmy G can't seem to stay healthy. So it's a difficult bet to bet on the 49ers.
No, they're talking about me shitting on Jimmy G because he can never stay healthy.
No,
right.
What we're talking
about.
Right.
You guys just said the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they were saying it's difficult for Jimmy G to stay healthy, and you have been very high on Jimmy Garoppolo in the past. but also it's just you have contradicted yourself about Jimmy Garoppolo a little bit, and I think that I understand where they're coming from a little. You made us predict that the 49ers were going to have a winning season because of him.
It was more because of Kyle Shanahan and the running game. That's why I think the 49ers are good.
I've heard the words Jimmy G come out of your mouth more times this season than any other phrase. I find it hard to believe.
That is not true. That is not.
Other than the Cowboys, but I find it hard to believe that you didn't factor him into your take that they were
Bobby, if you go back and listen to the prediction show, you said like his next full year in the Kyle Shanahan offense after Super Bowl, he's going to be that much better. This team's going to run away with that division. That's
so strange.
I wonder why, because he's been on it for when he got there in 2017. They won like what?
You had to see this coming.
4 or 5 games, right?
But you got to think about it.
He's on the field, they win.
I'm not allowed to change my opinion on someone based off the fact that again he got hurt for the 3rd out of 4 years.
Wait, are you changing your opinion though? Or are you saying that he's not good? He's not reliable.
No, I think Jimmy G is good. I just think he always gets hurt, and I just don't think.
But
that's
if he always gets
hurt, franchise on, and it's just not someone you can bank a franchise on.
But if he's that means he's not good then.
Unless he's in Dallas.
That means he's not good.
I don't want Jimmy G in Dallas because I don't want another hurt quarterback every year. I've been through that with Tony Romo. I think Tony Romo was amazing, but he could never fucking stay healthy. And guess what? I never won a Super Bowl. So there we are.
Well, yeah, you never won a Super Bowl because you're not on the team.
Well, but the Cowboys never won a Super Bowl. You know what I'm fucking saying.
Well, we're just getting you're wound up because of this Jimmy G thing. Listen, but the first thing you said, this is the last thing on the 49ers. The first thing you said when we said who stays healthy, you said Jimmy G. But guess who's also been hurt all season? Raheem Mostert has been hurt on and off all season. Yeah. So you didn't say Mostert first, but you said that it's Kyle Shanahan in the running game. But Kyle Shanahan is a quarterback guru. He actually is, unlike Adam Gase. Kyle Shanahan can actually make quarterbacks good. And as Mike's been saying all season long, he thinks he can get it done with Mullins, Beathard, Jimmy G. It doesn't matter. So exactly why you thought the 49ers were going to be good this year is exactly why Rayshawn and I and Mike and I, more than Rayshawn, would ride the Jimmy G train into the sunset in New England. Starting
just kind of
going to ride him to
hold on. Just to bookend this is one of the only arguments where like you guys are actually both right? So so we're all saying that
it's usually me that's right.
That the 49ers are better with Jimmy G and they would go to the Super Bowl.
Unless it's the trivia show.
And you're saying
okay, all right, here we go.
Let's my dreams.
That's no singer, Dave. Okay, all right.
So point being, and I think we can all agree that the most important point to take from this conversation is that I tried to tell Bobby the 49ers weren't going to be good, and they weren't. So I was right, and Bobby was wrong. Mm-hmm. So moving on to the rest of that division, the Cardinals. I mean, I think
you were down on the Cardinals, dude. DK, I will say this:
It's true. It's true.
I think you were 4-12 or 5-11, and Bobby and I were a little higher than that. I think we both were at 10-6, which is
10-6.
We came all the way up to 10-6, which is still possible for them.
Yeah,
they're hanging on to the 3rd wild card spot in the NFC right now, and could get pipped for that and not make the playoffs. I think that I was down on Kyler. Getting figured out, I think was my point. I thought he was going to get figured out this year. I don't know if that's what happened. I think that he got a little bit of a sophomore slump type middle of the season, and it's sort of come back. I think, and I think that you.
But there's one thing they couldn't. They, maybe if they figured him out, that was like pre-Hopkins.
I don't think that's what happened. I don't think that's what happened.
Yeah, but that was pre-DeAndre Hopkins. That's the delineation point, right? Like this is after that. So there's a whole different offense.
I've changed my mind on Kyler in general, because to see a young quarterback struggle over the course of a number of weeks and then come back from that and start getting his game back in, I think that is a sign of a very Bob Kelly hype man, championship DNA type rant, which I'm not all in on him yet, but I think I have more faith in him. I just thought he was too small. I was just looking at prototypical QB size. I was like, it'd be a nice story, but I mean, how do you play at that size? You know what I mean? He's proven me wrong on that. I don't think size is a factor. And to come back from some game tape being developed on you and to change your game like that, yes, he's thrown it to DeAndre Hopkins. Obviously, that's a big deal. But you can't negate his improvement because of having a good weapon. Like that's just it is what it is. And I'm a little happier with the Cardinals. I think I'd be more hype on them going into next season than I was this season. What do you guys think about them?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is this isn't the ceiling for the Cardinals. I think they can go a lot higher than this. I think their defense needs to get a little bit better. But Hopkins he's a game changer, dude. I mean, he made Matt Schaub look like an actual quarterback for years. Think about that. That's what DeAndre Hopkins does for somebody. And when you have someone with as much talent as Kyler Murray, I mean, he's going to be the binky that we always wanted here, that we never had here, that will make you that much better. Yeah, go ahead, Bobby.
The only thing I think that could hold this team back is Cliff Kingsbury. I just think sometimes as a coach, he does struggle to adapt into in-game situations. As my camera goes off, sorry, guys. He struggles to adapt to in-game situations and just can't adjust on the run, which is why I think when you see Kyler get shut down and he can't be the same Kyler Murray that we are all used to, or that we've all been seeing so far this season, they really struggle like they did against the Patriots, like they did against all these teams who stop Kyler and don't let him be Kyler.
It's too bad
as soon as he does,
Larry Fitz. It's too bad that Larry Fitz and his generation were just off. You know, like they just didn't match up, because I think that with multiple weapons like that, I think Kyler Murray could be special. But I think we're going to skip the Rams just because we're kind of running out of time.
Well, hold on. I just want to say, like, we were all wrong. We were all wrong there. Sorry, DK.
Sure.
Yeah.
Real quick on the Cardinals, just real quick. I just to rebut Bobby, I think you're right about Cliff Kingsbury, but I think if you give him time and give him a little bit of time in that organization, they're going to be all right. The best thing for Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray, and DeAndre Hopkins is the fact that Larry Fitzgerald is still there. To have that kind of a guy still there, to be that kind of a mentor, and Hopkins kind of having that humbling trade from Houston. I know he didn't really like Bill O'Brien either, but there's some good coaches on that Arizona side. I mean, they have Jim Dre, who's been around for a long time. They have Vance Joseph as their defensive coordinator. That team's going to be just fine in the West. That division is going to be really good for the next 5 years.
Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for them. I do agree with the fact that we were wrong about the Rams. They're better than we thought, but I still don't think they're good enough to be really worth any kind of conversation. I know you guys were hype on them after they beat the Pats, but everybody beats the Pats now. Sorry. But then, you know, if you're going to do that math, the Jets are about to beat the Rams. So
and the Cardinals.
Might as well just give the Jets the Lombardi Trophy then.
Moving on. So the AFC West
next week.
The AFC West, I think that was a foregone conclusion, and it looks like you guys pretty much nailed it from what I'm looking at. You called 14-2 for the Chiefs, which is still definitely on the table. You got the Raiders right because they have a very, very bad coach, and I think that was your guys' point, right? You were saying that John Gruden's not good, Joe?
Wrong.
It was yours. But...
Oh, okay. Well, somebody smart said it. So they're 7-7 now. They're 7-7, potentially 7-8. I didn't check the score of today's game. They're probably going to go 8-8. You probably nailed that right on the nose. The Chargers are 6. You called 6-10, and now they're 5-9. You're right on there. They're very boring and nothing to talk about there so much. And the Broncos, I can't think of any interesting storylines that's going on with them. I think Gordon's underperformed on the season. I think that they have a lot of work to do. They need to strip things down. They got
hit with a lot of injuries, though. I feel like.
Yeah, they did. They
lost an entire quarterback room. So.
Well, no, I'm saying even before then, no.
Not that would have made a
Son was
difference.
out early in the year, so I mean, they just wasn't. They were devoid of any weapons that they were going to really come into the season.
Sure.
So, you know, so
I think the interesting narrative about the AFC West, talk to me about the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that they're still as good as we thought they were, but they have had their hands full a little bit more with other teams. So, like, what do you guys think? What did you guys think at the start of the season? You gave them a 14-2 record, and what do you think now?
I think I was probably a little more bullish than Joe and Craig. I'm pretty sure I said 16-0.
and Craig had I said
16-0 or 15-1. I was pretty high. Mainly because I just know that when it comes to the offense, like if they need 40, they can get 40. They need to get 31, they get 31. They need 21 to your 18, they're just going to get the 21, right? So they just make the plays whenever they need to. Now, had they shown some vulnerability defensively? Yes, because when you give up 40 to Las Vegas, you give up 31 to Carolina, you can score on them. However, are you going to be able to make enough plays offensively? Are you going to make enough plays defensively to contain them? Because ball control, as we learned, is not the answer. Yes, it worked in the 2019 AFC Championship game when New England beat them up there, but the ball control does not work with the team. Like, you have to keep scoring. So if you don't keep scoring, they're going to find a way to score. and they score in quick, fast, in a hurry. Just actually Houston Texans last year. So
that could also be their kryptonite, though, Ray. Just to butt in there, that could be their kryptonite. We've seen it before because defenses that can't hold up in the playoffs are the ones that get beaten. And now their defense was not as good, in my opinion. Their defense wasn't as good last year as it is this year,
right?
On paper, as Mike likes to say. Right. But I think that and then they still won a Super Bowl. I mean, Tyreek Hill has 17 total touchdowns. He has 15 receiving touchdowns and 2 on the ground. I mean, the dude's crazy. And they have Travis Kelce. And when Robinson, Watkins, and Hardman are healthy, that team.
It's a joke. Like it's a joke how good they are. Like, and we compare them at times to the greatest show on turf. That offense, but I don't know. It may be because I'm in the moment, but they could be better than that offense, man. Like it's crazy how good they are. And Mahomes is unreal. I know Craig feels otherwise. I know Craig thinks he's going to be out the league in a matter of 3 or 4 years.
I know.
Okay, he feels I mean, the fact that that's definitive is just wild. Like, you're too smart to say stuff like that, Craig. But it's like it's crazy. But welcome to the Dangerous Minds podcast. The host is Craig D'Alessandro. No, but I listen. The Chiefs are phenomenal, and like I said, we got everything else just about right. I disagree about the Chargers being completely
not
wrong.
just about, dude. You guys won that division. Every point was
all 4
points.
We nailed it. All 4.
Nailed it. Yeah. So next.
Getting it right still only counts for 1 point, unfortunately. Maybe next year we'll do, if you nail the whole division, you get a bonus, but we didn't do that for this, and I'm not going back and changing it because I'm on the other team. So,
way to go.
Moving right along to what I would call the most controversial division calls that really became a through line and an argument throughout the entirety of the season. The trivia shows, the band shows, we were giving Mike shit for his Cowboys prediction. Shockingly, if you look at it on paper, we're not that far off in the NFC North, guys. I mean, the Bears could potentially...
You mean Lions, right?
I was referencing the Lions. We're definitely not going to get the Packers. That's fine. But we could still potentially get the point for the other 3 teams in the NFC North. A stick that you've been being beat with by us. Not even the other team. We've been giving you shit about this.
Well, Dave and Bobby, you guys have wanted to Bobby wanted to jump ship before the prediction show was over, and Dave wanted to jump ship about halfway through the season.
I never wanted to jump ship.
I don't know what's going on over there.
I don't accept that at all. I always ride or die with my team. Yeah. Let me ask you this.
But you already jumped ship.
No, I didn't. Let me ask you this.
For the NBA.
Let me ask you this. The NFC North, the Bears, the Lions, the Vikings, the Packers. We're going to exclude the Packers from this because it's pretty cut and dry. Aaron Rodgers had a season that you and I didn't expect him to have.
Yeah.
The Bears, past couple games, looking a little bit better. They're looking a little bit better. Looks like Trubisky can make some plays. Chuck Pagano's got that defense ticking over a little bit. They haven't played anybody that good, but they could still potentially have a 9-7 record, and we could hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, they beat the Bucs. The Bucs are actually turns out not that good. We'll get to that later. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't think that they're that good. I mean, they barely beat the Falcons today, right? Different division, doesn't matter. So
a lot to unpack there, but just keep going. Yeah,
we're good there.
When we get to the NFC South. So yeah, the Bears have beat a couple of decent teams, but they've had a pretty easy schedule. But point being, they might nail the record that we gave them. What's up with the NFC North? Did it turn out like we predicted? Go.
Let me just say that I think the one thing that I couldn't count on, like you said, but we can exclude them is Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. I called, you and I both did, Dave, because Bobby was high on them for some reason. The Vikings being a fraudulent team. We both had them at like 6-10. Actually,
the Vikings. Are we talking about the Vikings?
Yeah, the Vikings. Yeah, we both.
Yeah, I knew they weren't going to be good. Yeah,
they're just like Kirk Cousins is just sackless, and there were some injuries this year. But that's fine. So we had them at 8-8. Then they're probably going to finish dead on. The Lions, I think if I could have amended my pick, I would have said that they were going to go 9-7 and have their coach fired midway through the year, and that would have been dead right. But they're a talented team, and I think the talent is kind of showing that. I mean, they're 5-9 right now. We had them at 9-7, so they're going to get to 7-9. That's my hope. My hope to get the point. But the Bears, man, Big Dick Nick. He's not swinging anything in Chicago right now.
I think that it was difficult to. I think it was difficult to immediately redesign an offense against around a quarterback that was completely different than Mitch Trubisky, and I think that that's what we saw there. They couldn't call plays for Nick Foles. It just wasn't working. But Bobby, what do you think? NFC North.
I just think it's blasphemy to me that somehow Mike's Lions prediction is we're actually going to get a fucking point from this. Like,
well, we don't know. Well, we don't know that, but it could.
It's very possible we're going to, and I just think that's the craziest thing. And all season long, I couldn't believe that this was a thing that like we had the Lions down all season. And it's
all season, Mike
happen.
has been saying that his Packers pick was actually a worse prediction. Yeah. And it turns out to be on paper, that turns out to be true.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone
I
comes
can't
out
believe
of
we
that division.
picked Packers at 6-10. I can't believe that.
I know.
Yeah, that was where you jumped. That's where you jumped ship.
I can't believe that happened. And
it's not my fault that I was talked into that.
Right, but I immediately called out Mike for that because I was like, yo, are you for real? He was like, you just got to go.
Ray was like, it's still Aaron Rodgers' division.
I'm like, I was like, still division losing. And he was like, no, but I expect that from you, Dave, because you're the Bears fan. But I was like, really, Mike? Like, seriously? Like, I understand for content or whatever, but I'm like, dude, like,
he actually texted me. He actually texted me when he heard the show drop, and he's like, did you really say that shit about Aaron Rodgers and the Packers going 6-10?
Well,
I'm like,
listen, apparently you guys have like late night phone conversations that we don't know about. Like you guys say that me and Craig have secret meetings. The two of you, Ray comes on here one day. He's like, oh yeah, I was on the phone with Mike. And I'm like, what are you guys? Somebody call me. God damn. No,
it was about a burger.
yeah, right. Mike, this is where I'm gonna defend Mike on the Lions pick because honestly, of the five of us, I think I've been the hardest on Mike on the Lions pick this year because
I can take it.
No, we know you can take it, but this is where I'm going to turn it around and say, listen,
Kenny,
if Kenny, yeah, right, okay. So if Kenny Golladay were healthy and they had a half competent coach going into the season, that team's pretty good. I mean, that team is pretty good. So, they
maybe,
have
maybe I don't want to beat a dead horse, but maybe Jamie Collins doesn't punch a fucking referee. Maybe that doesn't happen.
Week one that happens. It just was not looking good for you, Mike.
Going into the NFL season, Matt Patricia was the coach of the Detroit Lions, and that's why that was not a good call at the time.
Exactly. Enough said.
He's not a good coach, and that's why he's unemployed. I feel for him, but I'm sure he's got plenty of money in the bank. So, moving on.
Right.
AFC North. Bobby. I got a bone to pick with you now that we're at the AFC North. The Pittsburgh Steelers, which Bobby, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's getting a lot of traction on the Insta. The real BKs, maybe phony BKs power rankings, where apparently, I don't know, he was huffing nitrous before he made the last top 10. And apparently the Steelers are the 7th best team in the NFL. The AFC, I know I shouldn't be arguing with an NFC participant. It's the AFC's prediction, but the AFC team called the Steelers at 10-6, which was a decently respectable record. And right now they're 11-2, about to go in and probably be 12-2 when they destroy the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday, who have won one or two, maybe 2 games so far. They're terrible. Skip them in this division. The Ravens are not nearly as good as you guys thought. It doesn't look like you're going to get that point. Actually, you're mathematically eliminated from getting that point.
Wait, so what did we have?
The Browns are
13-3, right?
You had the Ravens at 13-3. You were hyped on the Ravens.
Okay, so they're 9-5, right?
Yeah, they can go 11-5.
So they went 11. If they go 11-5, we get the point. Actually,
you could potentially still get the point. Doesn't look good though.
It doesn't, but I was the one that was like I said, I'll take the blame, Joe. I'll put me on Front Street.
You had 14-2, but we had 12-4.
Because I thought Lamar was going to be sensational, and at times he was this year, but at times he's taken a major step back. Mike's giving me major shit for that. That's cool. I could take it just like he could take it, but it's all good.
I can't. I don't want anyone to give me shit.
Yeah. Well, as we know,
Lamar's got plenty of it.
Right, exactly. We're on the same page there. But it's just like, he came back and he took one on the Browns too. So that's exactly what happened. So
many poop references in there.
Yeah, it's exactly.
So tell me, Ray, how does that division? How did you see that division going into this season, and how does it stack up to what you expected?
Well, I'll say, and Joe's going to co-sign for sure when I say this, but I think that I don't even think that we picked Pittsburgh at all. I think during the show, if I'm not mistaken, like at all, like we didn't say nothing. We said nothing about Pittsburgh.
I lobbied for that after the fact because
it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, my question is, do you think that Bobby's rankings that to having them at 7th is correct, or are the Pittsburgh Steelers a legitimately good football team?
Oh, hell no! He know I disagree. He knows. Listen.
Are they better than you thought? Are they better than Bobby thinks they are now? And are they better than you thought that they were going to be going into the season? Those are my
yes and yes.
Yes and yes.
Yeah,
yes and yes.
Okay,
So I want to hang on. I want to take that for a second because the other day in our Slack, Bobby comes up with this and says, "Hey, Ben Roethlisberger looks 38. That's because he's friggin' 38.
Right?
They can't run the football.
Tom Brady look 42?
James Conner had COVID. Yeah, but you can't.
But what happened to showing up no matter what?
Hang on.
What happened to COVID not being an excuse? What happened to just playing football and being able to do your game?
Because we didn't make the rules. Because we didn't make the rules. I didn't suspend him or put him on the COVID list. The Steelers did. The league did. So you can't say they can't run the ball when they ran the ball for 10 weeks.
Run the ball if they're a professional football team.
When they ran the ball for 10 weeks and then he comes down with COVID and is told not to play by rule in the league. It's not the fact that he did or didn't. We got on Cam the whole time about how Cam should play better. Cam should be better. Cam should look better. And he didn't. And that's because he wasn't healthy, whether it was a shoulder thing or something else. But we're not using it as an excuse. We're using it as a reason. But you're saying they can't run the football, but they did it for 10 weeks. So then they come out for 1 week and can't
in fairness, they didn't really
3 weeks in a row. 4 weeks in a row they've looked like shit.
On the ground, he was out for 2.
They're not great.
They almost lost to the fucking Cowboys and then lost to the football team.
Losing.
Your Cowboys are not as bad as you think your Cowboys are, and we've been trying to tell you that all season long. I understand you want them to be bad. I get that. That's just the kind of fan you are, and that's fine. And I'm starting to come to terms with that. But but then you also brought up the fact that the receivers keep dropping passes. Bobby, you're so short-sighted on this. You are so short-sighted on this because Ben Roethlisberger has had the best season he's had
because they've won 11 games, Bobby.
Because they were 8-8 without Ben, and they're 11-2 with
what
him.
happened? What happened to you guys loving teams going into the playoffs hot, right?
No. Hold on a second.
Wait. Shut up. Wait. I think they're going to win this week, and then they're going to lose to the Colts, and they're going to lose to the Browns. And I don't think that there's much question in my head about that. The Colts are a better-looking football team than the Steelers are right now. The Browns are a better-looking football team.
That is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. The Browns are better than the Steelers.
They are a better-looking football
team.
Don't scream.
Don't scream. Calm yourself. Second of all, the Cleveland Browns are better than the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They're a bad 11-2 team.
Yes,
like the Patriots were
bad 11.
Like DK, we said it last year. All of us said it. The Patriots were a really bad 8-0 team. But you're
not keeping that same energy with the Kansas City Chiefs.
The Steelers
you're not keeping that same energy with the Kansas City Chiefs. They've had all close games also, but apparently they're a generational offense.
The Steelers had the second easiest record in the schedule in the league.
You can't beat any team with that stick. You play who's in front of you. That's an absurd thing to say.
They lost to the football team.
Mike, I completely agree with you, DK.
Hang on. The Patriots had the 32nd ranked strength of schedule, and we're playing in one of the worst divisions in football for the last 12 years. And granted, we only started this podcast in August, but from what I can remember, whether it was Facebook or anything else, you never got on them for that. You never got. In fact, you were in their camp for that reason. Because in 2014, when they were 2-2, and I counted them out, you were like, "Oh, well, they have an easy schedule."
Would they finish that year 11-5?
They won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but would they finish that year 11-5?
So
12-4. Yeah, exactly.
They only lost 2 more games after that. So the Steelers can still finish 14-2. Then we wouldn't get the point.
They could.
They could still finish. Yeah. Bobby, we're playing if games, which you love to play. They can still finish 14-2, 13-3.
You guys play the if games.
Win that division.
No, you started it.
They can right now. They won't. This is the if that I'll play. They can right now still get the bye week in the first round. They probably won't, but they still can, which means that they would still be the best team in the AFC, regardless of if their record is weak or not. They would still be the best team in the AFC. And that 1 week, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what their schedule is. There's 32 teams.
That's what you meant. That's what you meant, though, because their record can't be.
Let me just say this. Let me just say this, and I agree with Joe. Take away the regular season for a second. Historically, the Pittsburgh Steelers were a wild card team the first time they won a Super Bowl in our lifetime. Right? They were 11-5. They have a proven winner at quarterback. That is the biggest factor in winning a Super Bowl in the NFL, is to have a proven winner or a potentially proven winner at quarterback. If you have a loser, hold on a second, Mike. hold yourself back for 1 second. Let me just do this. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a 2-time champion in Ben Roethlisberger. They have, yes, like Bobby says, they have a lot of drops. That's not the quarterback's fault. Going into the playoffs. No, he's right. They do have the second. They're tied for most drops in the NFL, which I didn't realize. And he did get me with that in the Slack. I'll give him credit for that. I didn't realize that. And I had to regroup and re-research when he said that to me. But because it hasn't, they did on the eye test, it hasn't looked like that. It's looked like their wide receivers are as good as they are on paper to me when I watch them. But they have a defense that's full of injuries, and their schedules not because of them, not because of their COVID restrictions, because of other teams' COVID restrictions. Their schedule has been getting tossed up and down the week. Okay, so then they lose 2 games right after that happens. Yes, they lose to the Washington Football Team, but how are you going to beat them with that stick when you spent 10 minutes on this show today filleting the Washington Football Team for how fucking good they are?
Don't try to Steelers. I said 5-11, so let's expel your narrative there. I said 5-11, not 3-13. And remember, I'm the one that told you that Ben Roethlisberger was better than Peyton Manning back in 2011. You told me that you were going to leave the show. So, you can't have it both ways. You can't say he's an experienced winner.
That's a different story. Of course, Peyton Manning is better than Ben Roethlisberger. That's an absurd statement. That doesn't mean Ben Roethlisberger's not good.
I just
came out your mouth.
Listen, I just don't see it because if they had kept that 1 seed, I would consider them possibly they could make a run. But listen, they're not getting any healthier. You know what I mean? They have the toughest 3 games there after tomorrow. After tomorrow, they have the toughest 2 games coming up on their entire schedule. And then they have to go into the playoffs right at that. And they don't even get a bye week because they're not going to get it. The Chiefs are going to get that bye week.
Right. I appreciate the passion. The last thing I'll say on it is that you dropped them 5 places in your power rankings for losing to the Bills, and the Bills you put at number 2. How can the number 2 team in the NFL, according to you, beating another team, drop them 5 or 6 places? How does that make sense? If they lose to the Bills, it should be fine.
Because they were dominating
the second best team in the NFL, according to you.
That entire first half, they were dominating the Bills.
They dominated 6. They
dominated 6, and then they got absolutely smoked the rest of the game.
You just said team is the second best team.
You just said they dominated. You just said that they dominated a Bills team who you on your own power rankings claim are the second best team in the NFL.
Right, guys? There's 60 minutes in a football game, not 30.
Watching it with you, it'd probably seem a lot fucking longer, Bobby.
Full 60. Full 60. Did they do that? No.
Don't worry, folks at home. We totally still like each other. Pistols at dawn.
I don't.
Okay, moving on because we're behind schedule here. We're moving on because we're behind schedule here, so we got to power through the rest. Moving on to the AFC, to the NFC South.
Is everyone all right?
Wait, I'm fine. I'm totally fine. I know how fucking wrong you are, so I'm good. So NFC South, we're gonna power through this really fast. You said that the Panthers were bad. Turns out they were bad. That was correct. The Falcons were average. Turns out they were below average. That was essentially correct. I was hype on the Saints being good. Turns out they're pretty decent despite their issues at quarterback. I think I thought the Buccaneers were going to be better than they are. So I'm going to go to Mike on the Buccaneers, and then I'm going to go to Bobby on the Saints. Mike, what do you got to say about the Buccaneers?
We had the Buccaneers at 12-4. They're probably going to finish at 11-5. So I don't think that we were off. I think that we all agreed that it was going to take some time for all those pieces to kind of mesh. I didn't think there was going to be as much friction on between Arians and Brady as there has been throughout the season. But I still think that talent on that team is going to bring them to 11-5. So I don't feel too bad about that.
I know you said earlier there was a lot to unpack on this. I don't think
they were bad. You said that they were.
I don't think that they're bad. I just think that they're worse than I thought they were going to be. I shouldn't have phrased it like that. I think they were worse than I thought they were going to be with Tom Brady at quarterback. I think that they look like a team that could be really good next season, but I'm not sure how many years Tom Brady has left. But doubting him on that has proven.
I just don't. I mean, I just think like one of the things that we talked about earlier in the year is that Brady never had to worry about things outside of like where his receivers are supposed to be. Like he had a coach that always knew where his defense, like where everything else is going to be. Arians isn't like that, dude. He's kind of like a loose guy. I think they've kind of figured it out now, and I think that Gronk is kind of looking like Gronk did before he retired. I mean, he's looking pretty good now. He looked awful the first 5 games of the year. So if you have a healthy Gronk, pretty healthy Tom Brady, 11-5. That's a pretty good record.
Percent chance that Tom Brady has of recording a 7th Super Bowl this season.
I mean,
15.
My dream was it was going to be Patriots versus the Bucks in the Bucks Stadium.
That's now
now I'm rooting for him. I want him to win 7. I think that just makes everything that we do here on Missing the Point that much juicier if he wins one without Bill. So I'm on the TB12 bandwagon.
All right, Bobby, talk to me about the New Orleans Saints. What's going on over there in New Orleans?
I love the Saints right now. I know that they have, we talk about diversity a lot, injuries, things like that. When teams actually succeed with these injuries, like so the Saints have injuries up and down their entire roster. Michael Thomas has barely played this year. Emmanuel Sanders has been out. Drew Brees is out. Taysom Hill, and guess what? They're still the number 1 seed or number 2 seed in the NFC now. Packers are number 1. The number 2 seed in the NFC, and they haven't had.
I'm thinking the Saints are going to finish as the number 1 seed, though. The way it looks,
they haven't had 1 week with their full team, not one. And that's even including this week against the Chiefs. Michael Thomas is out into the playoffs. So I don't know if it's going to be something that like maybe they won't ever get that chemistry that they need going forward. But the fact that they're where they are right now, to me, is just unbelievable. We had them at 11-5. They're 10-3 at the moment. Not sure how this Chiefs game is going to shake out. But that pick's definitely looking pretty good for us.
Yeah, the Saints are definitely good. And adversity, like I said, is a good through line, and I appreciate that. And I think that there's one of the 2 teams that you could fear coming out of the AFC. I think it's them and the Packers. I don't think it's anybody else, personally.
Can I ask a question, DK, host?
Please,
sir.
Please.
Okay.
Please.
Hey, Bobby. Hey, friend. Hey, buddy.
Go ahead.
Sorry, clear my throat.
Success through adversity is the thing I'm going to say before you even say anything.
Championship DNA, right? That's right, baby. I didn't know the Saints had much. Sorry.
Ray, we're behind schedule. Get to the fucking point.
Get to the point. Okay. Sorry. I missed the point sometimes. Sorry. Bobby, so what's the confidence that where's the why is there so much confidence in the Saints but not in Pittsburgh? Because they've had
exactly what I just said. Success through adversity. You know what I mean? The Saints have had this adversity, and they are now the number 2 seed in the NFC, and they continue to win games. The Steelers have gone through adversity and have now dropped 2 out of 3, and the last 4 weeks have looked like shit.
I mean, one of their wins was against the Broncos, who didn't have a quarterback like at all on the roster to start, and the Saints.
The success. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree and disagree with you, Bobby. Because I really like the Saints. I don't know if you saw me nodding my head the whole time. Like I really like the Saints, and it's partially because they're ahead of the Buccaneers, and that story is really helping my narrative. Because to Mike's point, real quick, just to glaze over those 2 teams, if Tom Brady doesn't have a bye, he's not going to win a Super Bowl. He's got to get that week off. He hasn't been beat up all that much.
Rest that those old bones.
Because Tampa's actually put a pretty good offensive line in front of him. He's had a good season because of it. I think he expected to be better than he is. I think there is already a rift with the head coach there. So I don't think the Buccaneers even get to the NFC Championship game, not to mention win a Super Bowl. I really like the Saints. I think Bobby's right in that sense that they have been pretty much seamless in most of their trials and tribulations here. I think that one thing where I will agree with you on the running game, Bobby, is that Alvin Kamara is a head and shoulders better running back than James Conner. I think James Conner is a very good running back. I think Alvin Kamara is more versatile. I think he's a better overall football player. But he has been the constant in that offense, right? Yeah. So they've had that constant. So I think if you look at all the teams that have faced the adversity and not done very well, they've probably lost that piece, because unlike a lot of people, especially in this Boston market, and fans think that running backs are not that important.
Of Boston market.
It is pretty good. I haven't had it in a long time. Not a sponsor, but running backs are a very important part of the game. And I think that's another reason why Tampa has been successful, because Tampa has at times not had wide receivers, but they do have 2 very good running backs. Now they don't have Ronald Jones, because not only is he on the IR, but he's also on the COVID list because he broke his pinky and was in close contact with somebody who had COVID. But having Leonard Fournette.
I thought he was in close contact with somebody who broke his pinky. But sorry.
That's what it is. Yeah, you can't.
Moving on. Sorry to cut you off, Joe, but I do want to talk about the AFC South for a second, because you guys nailed the AFC South too. Your predictions seemed actually borderline ridiculous. I mean, no, 2 of the teams, right? So they said that the Titans and the Colts are going to be 9-7, and both of those teams are 9-4 right now.
Well, they also said the Texans would be 9-7 as well.
Well, that was also
because that's what they always do usually.
But that was also a casualty of our lobbying to get the Steelers into the playoffs at 10.
I think everybody thought that the Texans were going to be a little bit better than they were this season. I did not expect them to self-destruct the way that they have, and I think
they're the Lions of the AFC.
No, because they have Deshaun Watson, who I think is like, genuinely a generational quarterback, and I think him having a good season despite his team having a bad season is testament to what maybe he could have done if they didn't trade the best wide receiver in the NFL to the Cardinals for no reason.
Well, so I don't think it was the head coach.
Yeah. No, totally. And I think that they still have personnel, and I think that looking at that team on paper, it wasn't a terrible call to call them 9-7. But the Titans 9-7 and the Colts 9-7 could still potentially happen, I'm pretty sure. And that looks like on the table. Who cares about the Jaguars because they're just bad, and you said they're going to be bad, and that's no surprise there. But talk to me about the Titans and the Colts. They're perennial middle of the Packers in the AFC. They haven't been talked about a ton, but they both have talented players on their team. The Colts have a veteran quarterback who hasn't won anything yet, but I mean, maybe squeaks something in. What do you guys think about those two teams? Ray, talk to me about the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm Team Henry over here. We had an argument.
He's so fun to watch.
Yeah, he's a beast. Talk about a man. He's a man. And I feel like, we had an argument a few weeks ago about, running backs not being so important. And I'm just like, well, this guy's a beast and you can't win with running backs being your best player. Kind of like our point guard argument, but we'll get into that in a few seconds. But Henry's a beast. Tannehill has maintained that's what they wanted him to do. I still wouldn't have given him the $118 million that they gave him in the offseason.
30 touchdowns.
I mean, right, but I mean, he's played better than expected. So I mean, it just makes you wonder what happened in Miami. But I guess continuity and having a good running game really changes the game. But I mean, Corey Davis has emerged recently. AJ Brown is awesome. I forget the name of the tight end right now. I'm missing it.
Jonnu.
Jonnu's played really well. So they are good. But I had the Colts actually winning the division, I believe. I don't know if Joe agreed with me and Craig agreed with me on that, but I did have the Colts winning it. I just felt like Rivers would be enough in the end. I just didn't trust Tannehill, and I still don't. But like I said, Tennessee has played well, nevertheless.
All right, Joe, talk to me about those Colts.
So we screwed this up because this is the one where Craig and I should have more so listened to Rayshawn and put the Colts up there. The Colts were a casualty of us lobbying to get the Steelers into that last playoff spot, which we did get, but we had to give up the Colts, and that was what we decided on. So the record's going to be close, but obviously we weren't great with the Texans. But you know what? I was down on this Colts team, putting them at 9-7. I didn't think they'd get to double-digit wins, and that's my fault because I've said it before and I'll say it again. I really like Frank Reich as a head coach in the NFL. I think what he's doing with that offense, with Rivers and Brissett, I mean, the confidence that he puts in both of those quarterbacks. I mean, one has clearly been around forever, and Jacoby Brissett he's a veteran, but he's only been around for 4 years. So I really like this Colts team. I think their defense is fun to watch. I think their offense is dynamic. I don't think it's the most fun offense to watch in the NFL, but they're dynamic and they're speedy. So, I mean, they get the job done, and having a healthy T.Y. Hilton has been phenomenal for that team this year. I'm up on them. I think that division, if the Texans can find a head coach, because I don't think Romeo Crennel is going to be the head coach after 2020, but if they can find a head coach, I think that's another division where those three teams, it's going to be like the NFC West. I think those three teams will battle it out for the next 5 years.
So let me ask you this. With the potential of one of those two teams we just talked about squeaking the division, and one potentially being one of the AFC wildcard teams, probably being one of the AFC wildcard teams, between the two of you, who would you say is a more likely candidate for a championship between the Titans and the Colts?
Tennessee.
Yep. I was going to say, Ray, let's say it on 3 because I know we both believe it. I don't think the Colts are there yet because Rivers isn't the long-term solution there.
And we also saw the Titans in the playoffs last year improve when they got to the postseason.
Right, exactly. Right.
I mean, they came in and beat a Patriots team. I mean, Mike Vrabel is a very good head coach. He just exudes confidence, and he knows what he's doing. And there was moments during their game today where you just know that he knows what he's doing. He has that coach's mind. And I mean, Tannehill resurgent. He's still young. Derrick Henry young. I mean, those Jonnu Smith young. They're in the right going in the right direction. I mean, Malcolm Butler is having a hell of a season. That's a good football team.
Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for our NFL predictions. I think that the overall lesson we can take is that we know somewhat what we're talking about, except when Bobby says that the Steelers are the 7th best team in the NFL. No, we made it through without Bobby quitting the podcast, so we did it. Okay. I was mad at him. Barely. Didn't realize that Joe and Ray were on my side as much. Didn't mean to gang up on you like that, but you did deserve it because of how dumb your rankings were. Just for that. All the other rankings were great.
Weeks, won't we?
Yes,
Jesus
we certainly will.
Christ,
We certainly
Dan.
will.
You are
No.
ruthless.
Every other ranking was perfectly informed. I just thought the Steelers were a little offensively low ranked. That's all.
He does. You do understand, and we have to say this out loud. He does this while he believes most of it. He does this to get a rise out of us, and putting the Bills number 2, which Bobby, especially after that Bills team, I think is legitimately the 2nd best team in the AFC. Like I think they're better than
NFL according to Bobby.
It is the NFL.
Right. I think the Titans. I think the Titans are number 3, but I think the Bills are the 2nd best team in the AFC.
Well, not to bring down the whole house of cards, but I do appreciate that you do all the work on the rankings and not me, and I get to just get mad at you about it. So that's really works out for me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Missing the Point. Missing the Point is a 1-hour podcast recapping the biggest stories in the world of sports with a New England flavor. The show notes and transcript from today's show can be found in the description box below, as well as on our website, www.mtpshow.com. If you're new to the show and enjoyed what you heard, please consider subscribing. It's the easiest way to see when we publish new episodes. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Google, and wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to rate us and leave a review of any of our shows. We always appreciate your feedback. Let us know how we're doing and how we can sound better. Also, be sure to follow us on all of our social medias. All of our links will be in the show notes. And check out our brand new website, www.mtpshow.com. That's mtpshow.com. For all of us here at Missing the Point, I'm Craig D'Alessandro. We'll talk to you next time.
Are you passionate about saving the planet for future generations? Do you want to learn how to do it? If yes, then you need to tune in to the Nature Back podcast. It's a talk show covering the changing world around us, from renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, circular economy, to ESG and social innovation. Don't miss this opportunity to discover how you can join the movement and make a difference. Subscribe to the Nature Back podcast today on your favorite platform and get ready to be amazed.
Electricast. Welcome to Tuning Into Sound Wellbeing, where we harmonise your mind, body and soul. I'm Amanda, your sound therapy expert.
And I'm Stephen, the curious explorer uncovering the mysteries of sound.
Together we explore vibrations, frequencies and the power of sound therapy and tuning forks.
Discover ancient wisdom, reduce stress and tune into a healthier life. Subscribe to Tuning Into Sound Wellbeing today.
Electricast.